With its small page count and simple language, one might think Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist to be a trivial text. However, upon a closer look, readers will be mesmerized by its combination of philosophy and adventure, filled to the brim with wise aphorisms that will make anyone think about their own lives.
In The Alchemist, there are a multitude of settings and a variety of characters. Our main character is Santiago, who's a poor shepherd boy who's content wandering the fields of Andalusia with his sheep. However, one day, an old man tells him that he's destined to find treasure near the pyramids. He gets caught in a wild chain of events that see him robbed and stranded in Africa, crossing the entire Sahara Desert, and meeting with a mysterious alchemist. However, throughout the story, he heeds the advice of the old man that the entire universe is conspiring to help him fulfill his destiny, and he perseveres to complete his personal legend.
The best thing about Paulo Coelho, though, is that he didn't just write about adventure, he truly lived it in his life. So he grew up strictly Catholic in Brazil in the mid-1900s, and he really went against the grain, to the extent where he was committed to a mental institution and escaped 3 times before he was 20 years old. Then, he dropped out of law school just so he could be a hippie, and went all the way across both of the Americas. And then spent a while of his life as a songwriter and a free spirit. And after all of that, he walked 500 miles in Spain, which truly gave him a spiritual awakening that he used to write The Alchemist and other wise stories. He's still an active writer, and he has a blog today, so you can check it out, and he's truly a great guy.
The theme of this novel is truly one of realization of destiny. As our main character Santiago is battered with the idea that when someone wants something, the entire universe is going to help them in achieving it.
To realize one's destiny is a person's only obligation.
Now, what this quote means is there is a lot of there are a lot of obligations that are competing with the idea of a personal legend, right? We have social customs, we've got familial customs, but throw that out the window, because the only thing that matters is you realizing what the meaning of your life is and chasing after that meaning like there is no tomorrow.
There is only one thing that makes a dream impossible to achieve: the fear of failure.
So what this quote is saying is, you shouldn't be worried about failure, because if you truly want your dream, the universe is going to help you in achieving it. Throughout the novel, we see Santiago faced with situations that would make any other person quit, but he keeps going and realizes, hey, my dream's on my doorstep. I gotta go chase it.
One of the most powerful moments in The Alchemist, for me I think, is when Santiago speaks to a man in the caravan. A man who used to be a farmer, but his farm was completely flooded by the Nile, ruining his prospects and his family. And when Santiago asks if he ever yearns for the glory days, the man replies with, "I don't live in either my past or my future. I'm interested only in the present." And this idea, no matter how simple, is really that key to happiness that we all forget sometimes, that no matter how much we long for the past or dream of the future, we're all citizens of this moment. And the sooner we realize that, the sooner we can make the most of it.
It's the thought of Mecca that keeps me alive. That's what helps me face these days that are all the same, these mute crystals on the shelves, and lunch and dinner in that same horrible cafe. I'm afraid that if my dream is realized, I'll have no reason to go on living. This signifies the difference between our main character and the crystal merchant. Whereas the crystal merchant thinks that if he achieves his dream, he'll have nothing to live, the main character realizes that by achieving your dream and your personal legend, that you have already lived, and that is in itself gives life meaning.
Here's my favorite passage from The Alchemist. There's only one way to learn. It's through action. The Alchemist answered, everything you've learned so far has been on your journey, and you only have one more thing left to learn. Santiago's at a very important inflection point in his life. He has to decide whether he's staying at the oasis or continuing on his journey. Now, The Alchemist's words remind us about all the characters that we see throughout the novel who have a dream, but they stay put in their day-to-day life and they don't pursue their dream. And I think this passage ultimately sums up the entire novel in the sense that if you want to achieve your dreams, you have to go out and get them by the neck and chokeslam them. You can't stay put and hope that maybe I'll learn the knowledge sitting here. You have to truly go out there and chase your dreams.
The fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself. No heart has ever suffered when it goes in search of its dreams. This quote is significant to the alchemist because in the story, the main character, Santiago, is afraid of going for his dream because of all the hardships he knows that will come along the way. But actually, once he starts going towards his dream, he soon realizes that it's not going to be that bad. This is kind of like procrastinating when you have an essay to write, but once you start doing it, you soon learn you made it a lot worse. It's not going to be nearly as bad as you thought it'd be.
The boy reached through to the soul of the world and saw that it was part of the soul of God. And he saw that the soul of God was his own soul, and that he, a boy, could perform miracles. At this point, Santiago is near the end of his journey, but he's about to die unless he can perform a literal miracle. But by believing in the words of the alchemist, he escapes the grasp of death. From an outside observer, Santiago should not have survived. However, this just goes to show that a little bit of confidence is all it takes to overcome unsurmountable odds.